Hello guys! Welcome back sa another accounting tutorial. Ang topic natin ngayon ay Cost of Capital Part 2. No, so, katuluyan to ng Part 1 series natin sa Cost of Capital. No, this time, tatapusin na natin. No? Ito na yung pinaka sukdulan ng Cost of Capital. No? Joke lang. Kayang-kaya to. No? So, ano ba yung kailangan mong i-expect dito? No? Diba? So solve natin yung capital asset pricing model. No, take note lang, ito yung partner ng dividend growth model. Dividend growth model. May two types kasi to know yung cost of common stock. It's either gagamit ka ng dividend growth model or capital asset pricing model. Sa video na to, capital asset na lang tayo. CAPM na lang tayo. No? Ano pa? Weighted average cost of capital. Paano naman kung nag-issue ka na ng debt, meron ka ng preferred stock, meron ka ng common stock, o syempre, kailangan mo nang i-average yung cost of capital mo. O yan papasok. Diyan papasok yung kahalagahan ng weighted average cost of capital. Alright? Tapos, meron din tayong tinatawag na optimal capital structure. Mamaya, sabihin natin yan. Tapos, retained earnings breakpoint. No, so, relax ka lang. Mapag-uusapan naman natin lahat yan dito sa lesson na to. Alright? So, simulan natin sa Capital Asset Pricing Model or CAPM. Diba? Ang sinasabi lang naman ng Capital Asset Pricing Model that investors should earn a return equal to the risk-free rate plus a premium for taking an extra risk. Mga investors kasi, syempre nag invest sila, dapat daw maka-earn sila ng return equal dun sa risk-free rate tapos may kasamang premium for taking an extra risk. O syempre, pag nag-take ka ng risk, mag-expect ka talaga na may return. Alright? Ano pa? That premium depends on how sensitive the investment is to the market measured by BERA. No? Sosyalan na natin yung pronunciation. No? BERA na lang. No? Pero syempre, mamaya, para mas mabilis, itagalog na lang natin, beta na lang. Alright? No? Pero sa talaga, American pronunciation, BERA talaga yan. Okay? So, yung premium daw na yun, nakadepende kung kaano nga ba ka-sensitive yung market. O, alam naman natin ngayon yung merkado, 'di ba? Yung market natin sensitive talaga sa mga inflation, sa taas ng presyo ng gas ngayon, sensitive talaga, no? Tapos, ang fundamental idea behind the CAPM is that investors expect a reward for both waiting and worrying. Yung waiting na yun, kasi pag nag-invest ka sa risk-free treasury bill, mga government bonds, you just receive the rate of interest. That's the reward for waiting. No, mamaya, may discussion din tayo bakit ba tinawag na risk-free rate ang mga treasury bill or government bonds. No, but this time, introduction lang muna. Tapos, when you invest sa risky stocks, you can expect a return or risk premium for worrying. Kumbaga ba may pinagsama to ng waiting plus worrying. Alright? No? So, simulan, let's dive deeper sa CAPM. Using the CAPM approach in computing cost of common equity and retained earnings, the formula is ganito. No? O, madali lang to tandaan. Hindi mo naman kailangan ng malaliman na understanding dito. No? So, ano ba yung RS? Yan po yung required rate of return ng equity capital. No? Ginawa ko na lang lahat na R para mas maalala ninyo na risk-free rate, required rate of return, 'di ba? Market return, 'di ba? Masyado kasing madaming R. Kaya mas maigi na gawin na lang nating R lahat para maalala mo. No, yung RF din, risk-free rate, 'di ba? That is usually based on treasury bill. Okay? Tapos yung RM, market return, yun po yung return dun sa market portfolio ng assets. Tapos yung B, beta, or yung beta coefficient natin, it is a measure of volatility, sensitivity, or non-diversifiable risk of a security compared to the market as a whole. No? Actually, lahat to, madali lang naman tandaan yan eh. 'Di ba? Plus mo lang to, pag i-multiply mo yung beta dun sa makukuha mo pag pinagbawas mo yung market return tsaka risk-free rate na i-given naman yan sa problem. No? Pero naka-highlight dito yung non-diversifiable risk. No? Ano ba yun, sir? Yung non-diversifiable risk concerning BERA. Okay? So it is also known as non-controllable risk or systematic risk or market-related risk. Results from forces outside of the firm's control and is therefore not unique to the given security. Kumbaga ba, sinasabi ng non-diversifiable risk, hindi ito kontrolado ng isang firm. Uncontrollable to. No? Pag may risk na dumating, hindi nila kayang kontrolin. It is what it is. Okay, ano ba yung mga yan? Purchasing power, interest rate, market risk fall into this category. O simulan natin sa market risk. Di ba? Ang market risk po, this is the risk that the stock's price will change due to the changes in stock market. Since prices of all stock are correlated to some degree with broad swings in the stock market. Yun lang naman eh. Kapag magulo ang stock market, magulo din yung stock price. No? Okay? Tapos, interest rate risk. Ganon din kapag may fluctuations din sa value ng asset as interest rates change. For example, umutang ka sa bangko. O, hindi mo alam, baka sobrang taas ng interest rate na pinatong sa'yo. O dahil sa mahal ng presyo ng gasolina ngayon, mataas din yung inflation. What do you expect, di ba? Baka tumaas din yung interest rate. Oh, may fluctuation dun sa value ng asset mo kapag tumataas or nagbabago yung interest rate. And lastly, purchasing power risk. Kumbaga ba, yung 20 pesos natin ngayon, hindi na natin kayang bumili ng korneto eh. Di ba? Yun yung dahil yung purchasing power ng pera natin bumababa. Hindi na natin or kakaunti na lang yung nabibili natin sa fixed sum of money na meron tayo. Yun lang naman yung sinasabi ng purchasing power risk. Okay? So let's talk about this BERA. Diba? This is a measure of volatility, sensitivity, or systematic risk of a security compared to the market as a whole. No? Parang i-consider natin itong interpretations na to. No? Kapag yung BERA daw po is greater than 1, yung stock price is more volatile than stock market. No? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Kapag yung market rises 10%, yung stock price mo rises above 10%. Kumbaga ba, mas magulo. Diba? Mas magulo yung stock price mo than stock market kapag greater than 1 yung BERA mo. Oh. Mas volatile than the stock market. O, paano kung equal to 1? E di yung stock price mo is as volatile as stock market. Kung magkano yung itinaas ng stock market, ganun din tataas yung stock price mo. Gaya-gaya lang siya. Kasi equal to 1 yung BERA mo. O paano kung less than 1? O less volatile than stock market yung stock price. Kasi kapag nag-rise by 10% yung market, the stock price rises below 10%. Now, sir, bakit nyo ba ito dinidiscuss? No? Para siguro, sa tingin ko, hindi kayo mabigla na malalim pa pala interpretation ng mga bagay na to. Pero, sa problem natin, makikita nyo, mag-stick lang tayo dun sa formula. Basta maalala mo lang yung formula, okay ka na dun. Okay? So, tingnan natin sa problem na to. Si Duches Corporation daw now wishes to calculate its cost of common stock equity by using the capital asset pricing model. The firm's investment advisors and its own analysis indicate that the risk-free rate equals 7%. The firm's beta equals 1.5 and the market return equals 11%. O, di ba? Tignan mo na. Binigay na lahat yung mga percentages sa atin. Using CAPM, the company's cost of common stock equity is, kung maalala mo lang yung formula na to, okay ka na. Tignan mo. Ang dami-dami nating diniscuss sa beta na to, di ba? At the end of the day, ibibigay lang din pala na 1.5. Kumbaga ba, may interpretation ka na yung 1.5 greater than 1, yung stock price mo is more volatile than the stock market. Basta, yun lang yung knowledge ko dyan. Pero, ang hinahanap kasi is yung cost of common stock equity. Binigay lahat. Yung risk-free rate natin, magkano? 7%. Now, ang technique ko dito, ginagawa ko na lang siyang decimal point. Para hindi ako malito. Okay? Tapos, yung beta ko, magkano? 1.5. Adi yun, insert lang din, magkano yung market return ko, equals 11%, edi 0.11. Magkano yung risk-free rate ko? Guys, dalawang beses nyo pong gagamitin si 7%, ha? Dito din. 0.11 minus 0.07, multiply mo sa 1.5. Magkano yon? 0.04 times 1.5. So, 0.04 times 1.5, that's 0.06. Now, i-plus mo yan sa 0.07. Makukuha mo dyan 0.13. Gawin mo ng percentage, that's 13%. Di ba? Kayang-kaya. Ganun lang to ka-straightforward. Basta maalala mo lang yung ganitong formula. Okay? And you have to know na dapat anong ginagamit mo, dividend growth model ba or CAPM? Sumunod ka dun sa sinasabi ng problem. Alright? So, another problem. Use the basic equation for the capital asset pricing model to work on each of the following. Find the required rate of return for an asset with a beta of 0.80 when the risk-free rate of return is 6% and the market risk premium is 4%. Okay, may bagong term sa atin. Find the beta for an asset with a required rate of return of 7.4% when the risk-free rate and market return are 6% and 8% respectively. Now, dito sa formula natin, may papakilala akong bagong mga terms. Kapag pinagbawas mo po yung market return sa risk-free rate, makukuha mo dyan market risk premium. Pag pinag-subtract mo tong dalawa, ang makukuha mo dyan, or itong part na to, ang tawag natin dyan, market risk premium. Now, kapag itong beta, minultiply mo dyan, sa dalawang yan, ang makukuha natin dyan, risk premium. Bakit natin tinawag na risk premium yan? Consistent yan dun sa definition natin that investors should earn a return equal to the risk-free rate. Ito po yung risk-free rate natin. Plus a premium. Ito na po yung premium for taking an extra risk. So, ito yung risk-free rate, tapos ito yung premium. Okay? So, consistent tayo dun sa definition. Alright? So, solusyonan na natin for letter A. Diba? Ano daw yung required rate of return kung meron tayong mga given na ganito? This time, ang binigay, market risk premium. Market risk premium, hindi tayo binigyan ng market return. Pero ang binigay, market risk premium. Remember, kapag market risk premium, ito na yun, 4% na yan. Yun na yung difference nitong dalawa. So, wag mo nang hanapin yung nawawalang market return. So, yan, ibig sabihin, yung difference nitong dalawa, 4%. Kapag pinagbawas mo yung risk-free rate dun sa market return, makukuha mo dyan is 4%. Okay? So, tuloy natin. Yun lang naman yung given. Yun lang naman yung kailangan mong ma-figure out dyan. Binigay naman na yung risk-free rate of return na 6%, yung beta natin, 0.80. Solusyonan mo na. 0.80 times 0.04, 0.032. Plus 0.06, that's 0.092 or 9.2%. Okay? So, ganun lang siya kalinaw. Basta maalala mo, market risk premium, pinagbawas na to. Now, what if beta naman yung nawawala? Binigay lahat. Pero, yung beta natin, hindi binigay. Pero, binigay yung mga required rate of return, risk-free rate, and market return. Di yun, ilagay mo lang, isubstitute natin yung beta natin as X. Diba? Nawawala siya. Hanapin mo si X. Joke lang. Pero dito sa problem natin, hahanapin talaga natin siya. Okay? So, substitute lang. Yung required rate of return, 7.4%. So, 0.074. Tapos, 6%, 8%. Ito lang. No? Substitution lang. Yan. Di ayun. Okay, so ang una mong gagawin dyan, yung ito, nasa parentheses niya, ipagbawas mo muna. Okay, 0.08 minus 0.06, that's 0.02. Okay, so still you don't know your x. Edi yun. I-multiply mo na ngayon si x sa 0.02, makukuha mo dyan 0.02x. Tapos, i-transpose mo yan, yung 0.06, ipunta mo dyan, di ba? Sa 0.074, ipagbawas mo silang dalawa. No? So, 0.074 minus 0.06, that's 0.014 equals 0.02x. Tapos, divide both side by 0.02 para ang matira dito is yung x na lang, di ba? Divide mo sila both side as 0.02 para ang matira si x. Hence, 0.014 over 0.02, makukuha mo dyan 0.7. No? So, ang bira natin is 0.7. Okay? Alright. So, kung gusto nating i-check, sige, lagay mo dito, 0.70. 0.70, i-multiply mo sa 0.02. Makukuha mo dyan, 0.014. I-plus mo ngayon dito sa 0.06, and di makukuha mo lang din 0.074. Huh? So, just to check. Diba? O, di tama yung ginawa mong equation or solution. Alright? So, let's proceed now sa weighted average cost of capital. No? Ang sinasabi po ng weighted average cost of capital, this is a way for companies to figure out the average cost of the money they use to run their business. Whether that money comes from equity, mga shareholders, or debt, borrowed funds. No? Ang sinasabi lang ng company, on average, how much does it cost us to raise money from all sources? Loans plus investors. Siyempre kasi pag magpupuhunan ang mga negosyante, ang mga businessman, hindi lang naman lahat galing sa utang. 'Di ba? Maghahanap din sila ng investors. No? Kaya on average, how much does it cost them to raise money from all sources of their fund? All right? Think of WACC as the minimum return a company must earn on its investment to keep lenders and shareholders happy. No? So, yun yung minimum return natin. No? Pinag-combine siya na average cost of capital. To keep yung mga debtors mo and mga shareholders happy. Alright? Or creditors rather and shareholders happy. Okay? So, tignan na natin. Or tignan natin ano ba yung formula to compute yung weighted average cost of capital. No? This is actually the sum of proportion of long-term debt in capital structure times after-tax cost of debt. Tapos yung proportion ng preferred stock sa capital structure times KPS. Or yan po yung cost of preferred stock. Tapos yung proportion ng common stock equity sa capital structure times cost of common stock or cost of new issues of common stock. No? Ito mga part po na ito, nasa part 1 natin nung video lecture natin. No? Kumbaga ba itong weighted average cost of capital, pinagsama-sama na. Pagsasamahin mo yung tatlo, after tax, cost of debt, cost of preferred stock, cost of common stock. No? But this time, may twist. Kasi, i-proportionate mo na yung mga long-term debt, preferred stock, at common stock based sa market value or fair value nila. Okay? So, mamaya, ipapakita ko. Alright? So, tingnan natin dito sa problem 3 natin. Di ba? Mas comprehensive na to ngayon. A firm's new financing will be in proportion to the market value of its current financing shown below. So, merong carrying amount, yung long-term debt, preferred stock, common stock. No? The firm's bonds are currently selling at 110% of par and a YPM or yield to maturity of 6%. The corporation has a 25% tax rate The preferred stock is currently selling at 45 pesos per share and pays an 8% dividend. The common stock has a current market value of 8 pesos and the company just paid dividends of 4 pesos per share. Dividend growth is expected to be 6% per year and flotation costs are negligible. Required. What is the firm's weighted average cost of capital? Tanananan. Now, this time, let's make it more interesting. No? So, anong first step mo? Hanapin mo muna yung fair value. Kasi kailangan nating i-proportionate yung long-term debt, preferred stock, and common stock in terms of their fair value. No, anong ibig sabihin nun? Tignan natin dito. No, so, meron tayong source of capital, may utang, may preferred stocks, may common stocks. Magkano yung carrying amount nila? Ganun lang din. Diba? Walang magbabago. Given yan sa problem. Pero, kailangan mong kunin yung market value nila or yung fair value. Now, paano nakuha yung 11 million, sir? Na fair value ng debt. Sabi doon sa problem, yung firm's bonds are currently selling at 110% of par. No? Hence, para makuha yung fair value niya, i-multiply mo yung 10 million sa 1.10. Sir, bakit po 1.10? Kasi 110% of par. So, 10 million times 1.10 para makuha mo dyan 11 million. Eh sir, paano naman yung preferred stock? O, nasabi din dun sa problem that yung preferred stock is currently selling at 45 pesos per share. Diba? Yun ang selling price niya. Yun ang market value niya. 45 pesos per share. Ilang shares ba yan? 100,000 shares. E di 100k na preferred shares times 45 pesos na selling price niya, e di nakuha mo na yung market value. O paano naman yung common stock, sir? Ganun din, 1 million shares multiplied by current market value niya na 8 pesos a share. E di, may 8 million kang market value. No? Total mo silang lahat, makukuha mo dyan, 23,500,000. Now, kailangan mo siyang i-proportion, no? Based dun sa market value. Paano yung proportion, sir? No? Paano nyo po nakuha yung 46.81%? Yung 11 million po, i-divide mo sa total. So, 11 million divided by 23,500,000, that's 0.4680. No? 0.4680 tip. No? 5. So, cut off muna ng 4 decimal places. Tapos, since yung katabi nung 0 is greater than 5, magiging 0.4681. Tapos gawin mong decimal places or percentage yan rather, 46.81%. O ganun din sa preferred stocks. 4.5 or 4.5 million divided by 23.5 million, that's 19.15%. Si common stocks, 34.04%. Kaya kung ito-total mo lang din silang lahat, 100% lang din. Kumbaga ba, kinuha mo lang yung ratio. Nag-proportionate ka lang. Magkano dito sa 23.5 million na market value natin? Ilan dyan galing sa utang? Ilan dyan galing sa common stocks? Or anong percentage dyan galing sa preferred stocks? Yun lang yung sinasabi ng proportion na to. No? So, mamaya, mahalaga yan. Gagamitin natin yan. No? So, ito yung step 1. Di ba? Get yung fair value tapos i-proportionate mo. Siyempre, mga susunod na steps, kunin mo na yung mga kailangan mo. After-tax cost of debt, cost of preferred stock, cost of common stock. Okay? So, yung after-tax cost of debt natin, kung maalala ninyo, YTM lang yun. Tapos, i-multiply mo sa 100% minus tax rate. Given na dyan, binigay naman na. O, buti naman, hindi na tayo pinaghanap pa ng YTN. Binigay na dyan. Alright? So, 6% times 0.75 or 0.06 times 0.75 na after tax, that's 0.045 or 4.5%. Okay? So, tandaan nyo, after tax cost of debt natin, 4.5%. No? Cost of debt lang po ang ina-after tax, ha? No? So, sa mga succeeding natin mamaya na cost of preferred stock, cost of common stock, hindi na relevant si tax rate natin. Okay? So, sunod natin si cost of preferred stock. O, pakita ko lang dito yung given na relevant si preferred stock. Ano ulit yung formula? Preferred dividend per share over current market price or net issue price. Remember, paano nyo po kukunin yung preferred dividend per share? Kailangan nyo po yung par value dyan, tapos dividend rate. Kung papansinin nyo po sa problem, walang par value na binigay. 100,000 shares yung binigay, tapos yung amount 4 million. Paano nyo po kukunin yung par value? 4 million, i-divide mo dun sa number of shares. Ilan ba yung number of preference shares? 100,000 shares. Di, ang par value mo dyan, 40 pesos. O, multiply mo lang din. 40 times 100,000, makukuha mo lang din 4 million. O, paikot-ikot lang yan. Paano naman, sir, kung yung shares yung nawawala, 40 par yung binigay sa akin, di 4 million divided by 40, makukuha mo na dyan 100,000 shares. Pero kung par yung nawawala, 4 million divided by 100,000 shares or 40 pesos par value ng preferred stock. Okay, so meron ka ng par value na 40 pesos, yun na yung i-multiply mo sa 8%. Okay, na dividend rate. No, tandaan po natin ha na yung preferred dividend per share para makuha yan, par value ang kailangan mo. No, i-multiply mo yan sa dividend rate. Kumbaga po kasi per share kasi ang cost of preferred stock eh. Kailangan mo diyan per share. 'Di ba? Per share, 45 pesos per share, no? Para same sila dito. Okay? Tapos yung current market price mo magkano? Ganun lang din, 45 pesos. Wala namang binigay dito na flotation cost. Diba? Kaya wala kang manenet. Okay, tapos 40 par times 8%, 3.2 divided by 45, that's 0.0711 or 7.11%. And hindi yan naka-after tax. Alright? Tapos, cost of common stock naman. Diba? Pakita ko lang yung given na relevant dyan yung common stock natin. Ano ulit yung formula? D1 over price ng common stock plus G. So, yan yung mga legend natin. Tapos, kapansin-pansin dun sa problem, naka-highlight yung just paid. Kapag po sinabi sa problem na just paid, yun po yung D0 or last year dividends yan. No? Naka-past tense kasi siya eh. Diba? Nagbayad ka daw, just paid dividends of 4 pesos per share. No, alam ko po medyo nakakalito kung D0 ba yan or D1. Pero pakiramdaman mo yung problem. No? Ano yung sentence construction? 'Di ba? Past tense ba yan? 'Di ba? Last year ba yan? Just paid? Okay, so other term din dyan, currently pays dividends kasi current yan, kailangan mong ipunta sa future. Yun lang naman yung gustong sabihin nito. So, para mag-get si D1, D0 times 1 plus G. Ilan yung G mo dyan? 6%. So, 1 plus 0.06. Tapos, 4 times 1.06, you will get 4.24. E di yun, ilagay mo na dyan si 4.24 sa formula mo. Ilan yung price, current market value niya? 8 pesos. Remember, walang flotation cost, negligible. Diba? Walang flotation cost. So, 8, yung price of common stock mo, plus mo sa 0.06, makukuha mo dito, 0.53. Sa part na ito is 0.53 plus 0.06, that's 0.59 or 59%. So, yun. Nakuha mo na lahat. Okay, nakuha mo na lahat. Di pwede mo nang makompute yung WACC. So, ito yung nakompute natin kanina, di ba? Yung kinuha natin yung ratio ng market value. Ano na ulit yung cost of capital natin for debt? Naka-after tax yan. 4.5%. Sa preferred stock, 7.11%. Common stock, 59%. Now, hindi po dapat maging 100% yan. Hindi yan tinototal na dapat, sir, 100% to. Hindi po. No? Ang kailangan lang na 100% is yung ratio. Ito, yung ratio na to. Kasi, meron tayong base eh. Di ba? Meron tayong days, kaya magiging 100% talaga yung total ng tatlo na yan. Pero itong tatlo na to, independent kasi sila sa isa't isa. So, hindi mo pwedeng i-total yan. Ang pwede mo lang gawin, i-weight mo siya. Paano mo i-weight? Di ba? Kung ang cost of capital ng debt is 4.5%, tas ang ratio niya is 46.81%, edi i-multiply mo para makuha mo yung weighted average. Okay, so ang average ng debt, 46.81%. Kung gagawin nating decimal niyan, 0.4681 times 0.045, makukuha mo dyan, 0.045, makukuha mo dyan, 0.0210. Or, yun nga, or 0.6. So, adjust mo dyan para maging decimal, tapos around to 2 decimal places. So, ang katabi niya is greater than 5. Ito, gagawin mong 1 na din yung 0. Kaya 2.11%. Okay? Ganun din sa preferred stock. Diba? Minultiply ko din yung ratio niya na 19.15% sa 7.11% na cost of preferred stock. Kaya ang weighted average niya dyan, 1.36%. Si common stock naman, no? Kapansin-pansin, malaki yung cost of capital niya. Baka madami siyang in-issue na bagong shares. Ang weighted average niya dyan is 20.08%. Tapos, this time, ito total mo na silang tatlo. Kasi nga, ang weighted average cost of capital, total nung tatlo. Ibig sabihin, na may source of capital ka galing sa debt, galing sa preferred stock, galing sa common stock. So, ang approximate weighted average cost of capital mo is 23.55%. Yun, no? Alam ko medyo matrabaho. Pero, magkakakonekta to. Diba? Ito nasa part 1. Diba? Ito, this time, dinagdagan lang talaga natin. Winate lang talaga natin. In-average lang talaga natin. Okay? So, let's talk about optimal capital structure naman. Yung optimal capital structure po, this is the mix of debt and equity financing that minimizes a company's overall cost of capital. No? Or yung weighted average cost of capital natin. Ano ba yung combination? Ito lang naman sinasabi nito. Ano ba yung combination ng common stock, preferred stock, and debt kung saan mami-minimize natin yung WACC natin? Kasi remember, 'di ba, yung overall cost of capital natin, ito yung minimum return. For example, ang minimum return mo 25%. Tapos yung project mo, yung may investment ka na project, 20%. 'Di ba? E di, hindi mo na na-meet yung minimum required rate of return na 25%. Kasi ang return lang na nagawa nung bagong project mo, bagong investment ng company is 20%. Worse, i-reject mo yan. Kung masyadong mataas yung minimum required rate of return mo, baka madami kang i-reject. Kumbaga ba, masyadong mataas yung standard mo. Di ba? Now, itong optimal capital structure, ang gusto nito, ilang percent dyan manggagaling sa debt? Ilan sa preferred stock and ilan naman sa common stock para ma-minimize natin yung WACC natin. Para hindi masyadong sobrang taas. To the point na wala na tayong ina-accept na project. Oh, anong optimal yan? Pwede silang mag-explore 20%, 70%, 10%. Basta ang total ng tatlo, 100%. Ano yung combination? Yun lang yung sinasabi ng optimal capital structure kung saan mami-minimize mo yung weighted average cost of capital mo. Alright? It ensures that the firm's financing decisions enhance shareholder wealth by lowering funding costs while maintaining financial stability. Siyempre, gusto mo rin naman payamanin yung mga investors mo, no? Para and by lowering yung mga funding costs and at the same time, ma-maintain mo yung financial stability ng isang kumpanya. Alright? So, tignan natin sa problem na to. Si Oneng Corporation's present capital structure consists of 30% debt, 10% preferred equity, and 60% common equity. Yung capital structure daw na ito is considered optimal. Ibig sabihin, ito na yung best. No, ito na yung best kung saan nami-minimize yung weighted average cost of capital. Minimizes WACC. No, so wag mo nang panitan to ha. 30% na debt yan, 10% na preferred stock, 60% na common. Optimal na yan, best na yan. Wag mo nang papalitan. O, yun lang naman yung sinasabi ng sentence na to. Now, for the coming year, Owning Corporation is planning to invest in an 80 million project that will be financed according to the desired capital structure. O, mag-i-invest daw siya sa 80 million na project. Tapos, yung finance diyan is according dun sa desired capital structure. 30% dyan uutangin niya, 10% sa preferred equity, 60% sa common. Pero si Oneng Corporation, meron siyang 20 million na cash available for that project. Hence, hindi niya na kailangan tong utangin. Hindi niya na kailangan mag-issue ng preferred or common equity kasi may 20 million siyang cash available. Alright? So, ano mga tanong? The percentage of 80 million that will come from long-term debt is, and the percentage of 80 million that will come from a new issuance of common stock is, and if the company will maintain the optimal capital structure to finance the project and preferred stocks are issued, the proceeds should be. Alright, so tignan natin. Solusyonan natin si number 1. No? Magkano daw po dun sa 80 million ay manggagaling sa long-term debt? Remember, magkano yung project cost? 80 million. Pero, mayroon kang cash available na 20 million. No? Hence, yung 20 million na yan, hindi mo na uutangin, hindi ka na mag-i-issue ng preferred or common stocks. Kaya ang required financing mo lang, 60 million. Tapos, yung required na financing dyan, yan yung i-proportionate mo dyan, yung debt dun sa capital structure. 60 million. So, dyan yung manggagaling yung debt, meron kang preferred stock dyan, meron kang common stock. Pero, hindi lahat debt. Kasi ilan ulit yung debt? Kapag optimal structure, 30%. Preferred stock, magkano? 10%. Common stock, magkano? 60%. So, hindi lahat ng 60 million uutangin mo. 30% lang dyan yung uutangin mo. So, ilan yung required financing mo from long-term debt? 18 million. No? Pero hindi pa tapos dyan kasi magkano daw dun sa 80 million ang manggagaling dun sa long-term debt mo? Eh di 18 million divided by total project cost 80 million, you will get 22.50%. O, di ba? Eh di yun, tapos na. No? Yun na, nalaman mo na dyan, yung percentage ng 80 million na manggagaling sa long-term debt. O, ano naman yung number 2? Ilan daw dun sa 80 million ang manggagaling sa issuance ng common stock? O same solution, 60 million yung required financing. Ilan lang dyan yung manggagaling sa common stock? 60%. Kaya 36 million yung required financing mo from common equity. Divided by total project cost na 80 million, that's 45%. Alright? No? So, and the last, no? If the company will maintain the optimal capital structure to finance the project and preferred stocks are issued, magkano daw yung proceeds from issuance of preferred stocks? Total project cost, 80 million, cash available, 20 million. Required financing, 60 million, ilan percent dyan yung preferred equity? 10%. No? 10% po dyan yung preferred equity natin. E di yun, 60 million times 10% ang i-issue mo dyan, di ba? Na preferred stocks is 6 million. Oh. Kayang-kaya. Okay? Kaya, let's jump to another topic or yung last topic natin sa content ng part 2 is retained earnings breakpoint. The retained earnings breakpoint in WACC is the point where a company has used up all of its retained earnings to finance projects and now must raise additional equity capital from outside investors. No? Parang ano ito? Companies prefer to use retained earnings first because it's the cheapest source of equity. No need to issue new shares. Siyempre, kapag po may tinatawag tayong retained earnings. Ang retained earnings po, nanggagaling yan sa net income. Ang net income po kasi pwedeng ipangbayad mo ng dividends, no? Or kung meron mang natira, retained earnings mo. So, may dalawang way para gamitin yung income ng isang company. It's either ibigay nila yan sa mga investors as dividends or itago muna. Kaya mapupunta yan sa retained earnings. Now, yung retained earnings na yan, pwedeng gamitin yan to finance yung mga projects. Paano this time, ang sinasabi ng retained earnings breakpoint, yung retained earnings available, hindi na enough, kulang na to finance yung mga projects. Kaya kailangan na nilang mag-raise ng additional equity capital from outside investors. Mag-i-issue na sila this time ng common stock. Yun lang yung sinasabi ng retained earnings breakpoint. Kumbaga ba, may hangganan yung retained earnings. Prefer kasi ng mga companies ang retained earnings kasi it's the cheapest source of equity. Hindi mo na kailangan mag-issue ng bagong shares. No? The breakpoint happens when retained earnings are no longer enough to cover the equity portion of financing. Now, this paki-take down note, no? Equity portion po ng financing. Kasi po, ang financing pwedeng manggaling sa debt, pwede nilang utangin, or pwede din silang mag-issue ng equity. Hindi na kaya nung retained earnings yung equity portion. Okay, so mamaya, i-discuss natin to. No? Beyond this point, the cost of equity rises since issuing new stock is more expensive than using retained earnings. So kapag tumaas yung cost of equity, tataas uli yung WACC. Sobrang taas na naman yung minimum required rate of return. Baka mataas na naman yung standard na kailangan nilang ma-meet. No? Tumataas yung cost of equity mo kasi nag-i-issue ka ng bagong stock. And more expensive yan than using retained earnings. Okay? So ano bang formula ng retained earnings breakpoint? Retained earnings available over equity weight dun sa capital structure. No? For example, suppose a company has the following capital structure. Retained earnings available mo, 5 million. Equity weight, 40%. Diba? It makes up 40% of total financing. Debt weight, 60%. Ibig sabihin po, kapag nag-finance sila ng project, 60% nun inuutang nila. Pero 40% nun galing sa equity. So, anong retained earnings breakpoint mo dyan? 5 million over equity weight dun sa capital structure na 40%. Ang breakpoint mo dyan, 12.5 million. So, ibig sabihin, yung 12.5 million na to, for example, 12.5 million, i-multiply mo sa 60%, that's 7.5 billion yung manggagaling sa debt. Tapos, yung natira na 40%, diba? 12.5 billion times 0.40, 5 billion yung manggagaling sa equity. Pero, alam mo kasi na may retained earnings kang available. Diba? Kaya, yung 5 billion na kailangan sa equity, kaya pang ma-finance ng retained earnings. Hanggang 12.5 million lang pero yung kayang ma-finance ng retained earnings or ng equity mo. Kasi kailangan paghatian 60% galing pa sa debt yan. Of 5 million yung matitira sa equity, kaya pa ng retained earnings mo kasi 5 million naman. So, yun lang yung sinasabi ng retained earnings breakpoint. So, the company can finance up to 12.5 million in new investment using retained earnings for the equity portion. Napakita natin kanina. Beyond this level, it must issue new equity or sell shares which increases the cost of equity and therefore raises the overall WACC. Kapag lagpas na ng 12.5 billion yan, kailangan mo nang mag-issue ng bagong capital. Again, madadagdagan na naman si overall WACC. Bakit ba nagmamatter to? Kailangan mo malaman yung retained earnings breakpoint. Projects below 12.5 million, WACC is lower. Since yung equity mo nga, galing yan sa retained earnings, di ba? Mas mura, mas cheap. Pero, yung projects above 12.5 million, mag-i-increase yung WACC since yung equity is more expensive. Di ba nga, kung mas mataas yung standard mo or yung minimum required rate of return, mas mahirap habulin. Kumbaga ba, mas madami kang project na i-reject kasi ang taas-taas nung minimum required rate of return mo or yung weighted average cost of capital. Kaya nga, ang optimal capital structure, ang gusto niya, mapababa yung weighted average cost of capital mo, ma-minimize. Alright? No, so tingnan natin sa problem na to. During the past 5 years, the pledge company had consistently paid 50% of its earnings available to common as dividends. Next year, the pledge company projects its net income before the 1.2 million preferred dividends at 6 million. Ito yung capital structure ng company, merong debt, preferred stock, common equity. What is the retained earnings breakpoint next year? Okay? So, solusyonan na natin. No? Ano ulit yung formula? Retained earnings available over equity weight in capital structure. Now, sir, paano nyo po nakuha yung retained earnings available? Magkano yung income? 6 million. Bakit po natin binawas yung 1.2 million na preferred dividends? Kasi po, yung retained earnings na to, for common stock lang. Mamaya explain ko kung bakit common stock lang yung pinupuntirya natin dito. Okay? So 6 million, bawas mo dyan 1.2 million. Kaya ang matitira lang na net income natin for common shareholders, magkano na lang? 4.8 billion. Diba sabi ko nga yung net income mo is either ipangbayad mo ng dividend nyo or pwede mong i-retain. Ipunta mo sa retained earnings. Diba? Magkano dyan yung binayad mo sa dividends? 50% daw. Nung earnings available to common. So, ilan yung earnings available to common? 4.8. Kasi 1.2 million nun, binigay mo na sa preferred dividends. No? E di ang available na lang sa common, yung natira, 4.8. E 50% nun, pinangbayad mo ulit ng dividend nyo nila. E di ilan na lang yung natira? 4.8 times 50%. Kaya 2.4 million na lang yung natira. Or yan yung retained earnings available. Okay? Yun, i-divide mo na sa 60% ngayon na common equity. Sir, bakit po hindi mo sinama yung 15% or hindi total equity yung ginawa mo? Common equity lang. O, explain natin yan sa next slide. Now, this time, alamin mo muna na 60% or common stock equity lang yung nakikinabang sa retained earnings natin. Okay, so ang retained earnings breakpoint natin is 4 million. No? So ang sagot dun sa MCQ natin kanina is letter C. 4 million yun. Now, explain na natin bakit common equity percentage yung ginagamit natin sa retained earnings breakpoint instead of preferred equity percentage or yung total equity. Bakit pa? Ano ba yung main reason nito? Retained earnings are part of common equity, not preferred equity. Bakit? Kasi yung preferred equity po, meron silang fixed dividends or fixed dividends rather and does not rely on retained profits. Kumbaga ba, since preferred equity sila, diba? Separate yung financing source nila. Bayad sila. Fixed yung dividend nila. And hindi lang sila nakarely sa retained profits. No? Siyempre, preferred sila ang priority. Babayaran sila. Unlike common equity, ang common kasi pag may natira lang, dun lang sila makikishare eh. O, kumbaga ba, ang common equity, reliant sila sa retained profits. Sila yung huli. Pero ang preferred equity, preferred sila. Mauuna sila. Hindi sila nakarely sa retained profits. Alright? So, laliman pa natin. Therefore, when calculating the breakpoint, we divide retained earnings by the common equity weight in the capital structure since retained earnings directly fund that portion. Oo. Pag may natira, yun lang, dun lang makikishare yung common equity. Ang saklap, di ba? Hindi ka preferred. Okay lang. Okay lang yan. Hence, the breakpoint formula is designed to show when retained earnings are exhausted and new common stock must be issued. Preferred stock is unaffected by this transition. Kumbaga ba, pag ubos na yung retained earnings mo, kailan ka mag-i-issue na ng bagong common stock mo? Diba? Kaya nga sa cost of common stock natin, halos parehas lang yan sa cost of retained earnings natin, di ba? Halos, di ba, mag-ano talaga sila, magkumare, magkamag-anak talaga sila. Pero si cost of preferred stock, hiwalay. Napansin nyo yon? Connected talaga lagi ang retained earnings sa common stock eh. Pero si cost of preferred stock, laging nakahiwalay. Okay? So yun, yung dahilan kung bakit common equity percentage yung ginagamit natin sa retained earnings ha. Kasi yung preferred equity, may sarili siya. Fix yung dividends na natatanggap niya. No? Hence, kapag naubos yung retained earnings, ang ginagawa mo, nag-i-issue ka ng common equity, hindi preferred stock. Alright? So, tignan naman natin dito sa mga theory question. Diba? First question, the component of the risk-adjusted discount rate that is derived from the risk of treasury securities is, letter do, risk-free rate. Diba? Again, ang mga treasury securities po, diba? Highlight dito, treasury securities po is considered as risk-free rate. Ano yung mga treasury securities na yan? Government bonds, treasury bills. Bakit sila considered risk-free rate? Because they are backed by the full faith and credit of the government, which has the power to tax and print money to meet obligations. Kumbaga ba, ano sila? Kampante sila. May safety net sila. Government yan eh. Treasury bills yan eh. Gobyerno ang may sagot. Eh alam naman natin, ang gobyerno may kapangyarihan na kumuha ng pera sa taong bayan through power of taxation. And they have also the power to print money to meet their obligation. No? So, government bonds, treasury bills, risk-free rate sila. Okay? Tapos, additional dyan is minimal to zero default risk ang mga treasury securities because the government has never defaulted on its debt even during severe economic crisis. Kaya nga po sa gobyerno, merong security. Kasi kahit severe economic crisis na yan, babayaran ka pa rin ng gobyerno. Tuloy-tuloy kumbaga ang gobyerno. Hindi kasi pwedeng tumigil ang gobyerno sa pagsisilbi sa mga taong bayan. No? Kaya tuloy-tuloy yan, hindi sila pwedeng mag-default sa obligasyon nila. Even during economic crisis, yung pandemic, di ba, tuloy-tuloy yung serbisyo nila. So, minimal to zero yung default risk. Pero, technically, no investment is truly risk-free. Kaya yung mga treasury securities natin, meron pa rin silang inflation risk. Meron pa rin silang interest rate risk. Yun nga lang, ang sinasabi kasi natin dito, default risk. Minimal to zero default risk sila. No? Pero meron pa ring risk. Andyan yung inflation risk, interest rate risk. No? However, in practice, they are treated as risk-free because default risk is negligible compared to other assets. So yun lang, gandang mag-invest sa gobyerno kasi mababayaran ka. No? Tuloy-tuloy kasi habang may tao, may gobyerno. Yun lang naman yung sinasabi nito. No? So number 2, which of the following is incorrect regarding the measurement and interpretation of the beta of a security? So bigyan ko kayo ng 10 seconds para sagot. Grabe sir, 10 seconds talaga. Naranasan ko na yun nung nakiki-contest ako. 10 seconds, theory question. Oo naman, grabe yun. Grabe, pagka-flash pa lang pagka-flash pa lang, kahit binabasa pa lang niya, sinasagutan ko na nung yung quizmaster namin sa mga contest. Habang binabasa niya, inuunahan ko na Kaya ang ginagawa nila sa akin nun, sinasabi nila, Sir, nagka-calcu na to habang hindi pa naka-go. Kasi bawal kasi mag-calcu habang binabasa pa lang Pero lagi kong nire-raise yun na gusto ko talaga kahit binabasa pa, nagka-calculator na ako. Para pagka-start ng timer, may sagot na ako. No? So, balik tayo dito. Which of the following is incorrect regarding the measurement and interpretation of a beta of a security? Anong sagot nyo? Letter boy. No, wala pa akong sinabing alpha, no? Nasa ML ba yan, sir? Nasa beta lang tayo. No? Wala pa tayo sa alpha. No? So, the sensitivity of a stock to the market movements is known as beta. So, balikan natin. Di ba? Yung letter A. Not all securities are equally affected by fluctuations in the market. This is true because different stocks have different betas. So they respond differently to market changes. Parang ito, di ba? Kung yung beta mo greater than 1, mas volatile ka sa stock market. Pero kung equal to 1 yan, gaya-gaya lang siya. Less than 1, less volatile ka, hindi ka masyadong gumagaya sa market. O magkakaiba yan. Magkakaiba sila ng fluctuations. Depende yan sa beta nila. So yung C, stocks with beta greater than 1, particularly sensitive to market fluctuations. Those with a beta of less than 1, not so sensitive to such movements. This is true. Diba? Ito lang din yung interpretation niya, di ba? Yung table natin. And the average beta of all stocks is 1. This is also true. By definition, the market portfolio has a beta of 1. So the average cross of all stocks is anchored to 1. O, yun lang naman. Kumbaga ba, nasa gitna ka lang. Hindi masyadong mataas, hindi masyadong mababa. Nasa normal ka lang. Nasa gitna ka lang. Yun yung average beta of all stocks. Okay? Parang tama lang din naman. Kasi kung gumagalaw din ang market, gumagalaw din ang stock price. Pero parehas lang sila. By definition. Okay? So number 3, the mix of debt and equity that minimizes the cost of capital is known as optimal capital structure. Diba? Minimize niya yung company's overall cost of capital para ma-maximize niya yung market value. Para mas maraming mag-invest, maraming maengganyo na investors, diba? Na ituloy yung proyekto, yung investment proposal. Alright? So for our last theory question, which of the following are acceptable criteria for determining the weights in the weighted average cost of capital? Ang sagot dyan, letter boy. No? Dapat po, market value ha, di ba? Nung nag-compute tayo ng weighted average capital kanina, hindi natin tinignan yung historical cost, hindi natin tinignan yung book value, hindi natin tinignan yung carrying amount. Di ba? Ang tinignan natin dyan, market value, di ba? Yung pag-proportionate natin, nakadepende sa market value. Bakit? Kasi book values are outdated and they don't reflect current market conditions. Gusto mo dyan, napapanahon. Current trends ka. Oh? And lastly, di ba, meron tayong mix of debt and equity. Doon sa pag-compute natin ng WACC kanina, di ba, may debt, may preferred stock, may common stock. Nakamix sila. Oh. Yung C, tama naman, pero incomplete. Tama, gumagamit tayo ng after-tax cost of debt, pero hindi yun lang. Hindi niya, inignore niya yung equity and preferred stock. So, it's not a full criterion. Tama na, gumagamit ka ng after-tax cost of debt, pero mali na yun lang. Kasi meron pa tayong cost of equity, meron pa tayong preferred stock and common stock. Okay? So, letter boy yung sagot dito. So, dyan nagtatapos ang discussion natin ng cost of capital. I hope madami kang natutunan, no? For me, napaka-solid na nung foundation na nilatag ko para sa'yo sa topic na ito. Cost of capital, capital budgeting, kayang-kaya mo na yun. No? So, thank you sa panonood. And hopefully, marami pa tayong video lecture na dumating. At hindi ako mapagod. No? O, normal lang namang mapagod. Pero sana, hindi ako magsawa. Kahit tumanda na. Joke. No? So, thank you and palambing ulit. Subscribe naman kayo dyan kung gusto nyong matuto. Bye-bye guys and thank you.